Horse Racing Update is brought to you by Bet365, the world's favourite online betting brand.
What are you really gambling with?
Well, in just 1 week, we will be trackside ahead of the $20 million Everest. And joining us will be this gentleman. Shane O'Cass joins live from the newsroom this morning, but he'll be trackside next week. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, Julie. Morning, Timmy. Yeah, look, I hope the weather holds up for next week. It's been a fantastic spring as opposed to last year when it was very wet all the way through. And we've had some wet Everests in the past. The first two were run on quite wet tracks. But look, so far the weather's doing its part.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the Everest in just a tick because there's been so many chess pieces moving, but a huge race day today. The new Hill Stakes, there's some really interesting horses on show in the Roman Consul.
Yeah, well, I think the Roman Consul is going to be a fantastic race, one of the best races of the calendar so far because we've got 8 horses in it. They're all colts and they're all stallion prospects. I mean, any one of these horses could go to a lot of them will actually go to some of the top studs in the country in the years to come, and a couple of them might even be in the Everest next year, maybe one this year, I don't know. But it is a very, very competitive race and a lot of depth. And there's some other fantastic races across the card. We've got a $2 million race in Sydney as well, plus another $1.5 million race. So yeah, we're certainly in full swing towards the Everest.
It is all part of the $87 million Everest Carnival here in Sydney. We have had a little bit of rain overnight as well, Shane, and it is a little bit cooler conditions today for the 10 race card.
Well, it is a bit, but I think the trackmen and most trainers and owners would be pretty happy to see rain come during the week and then to fine up on the weekend because you don't want these horses racing on really hard tracks or really wet tracks. So it's somewhere in that sweet spot at the moment for the horses and the trainers and obviously the general public like to see the sun and they're getting that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I heard the track manager this morning say they were a 6 going into a 5, so it should be a perfect race condition at Rosehill Gardens. Western Sydney, love it today. But let's have a look at what's happened during the week because Espiona, we're going to hear from Peter Tyre, of course, is one of the owners of the slot, the Chris Wallace slot. They've gone with Espiona, their own horse. Hawaii 5-0 is in. Shinzo on the back of the trial. Marzu stays on the back of the trial.
Well, look, I thought that the interesting horse to go in this week was obviously Hawaii 5-0. There'd been a lot of mail around that he was trialling exceedingly well, and he ran such a good race. I mean, he's almost knocked off the Everest favourite last week. Gee, was impressive. What a difference a year makes, though, guys, because he actually raced on this day last year in the Tap Craig, and he was beaten, I'll get this right, 144.49 lengths. He ran last. But it was, if you remember, it was a heavy 10. You would not have seen a worse track or heavier track at Randwick ever, and this horse doesn't like heavy tracks. But look, he's back. He's going tremendously well. And with James McDonald to ride, Hawaii 5-0 has really jumped out of nowhere. So he's certainly the dark horse, or he was a few weeks ago, the dark horse going into the Everest. But now he's going to be one of the favourites. It's
such an open field this year as well, but as I said at the start of the show, still one slot to make their move. That is Yulong. Now, talk all week, they are likely to confirm alcohol-free. Do we have an update on that?
Well, not yet, and that's the strange thing because alcohol-free, a 4 times Group 1 winner, a mare that they paid $10 million for, ran a terrific race. I thought last week it was the best thing I've seen her do in a trial or a race. Not that she's had many since she's been down here, but I'm wondering why they haven't announced it yet, and maybe they will. Maybe they will in the next half hour. But is it opening? Are they keeping their options open for another horse? I mean, do they want to see what happens in the Roman Consul today? What if Osmosis comes out, breaks the course track record? What if something goes, with Imperatrix? Nobody's saying that Imperatrix is absolutely 100% going to stay in Melbourne. What if they make an offer too good to refuse? I don't know. Maybe alcohol-free's in, but why isn't she already?
Yeah, I think that osmosis idea is not a bad one. I don't know whether osmosis is actually the actual art of seeing the future or not. It sounds like it is. But I know that Henry Field and Bjorn Baker are very keen. I think Imperatrix, from what I've heard during the week on the quiet, is that Imperatrix will stay in Melbourne, go to the Manikato and do that route. So, yeah, interesting to watch. Now, just on Melbourne, the Turnbull Stakes today, Group 1 racing, of course. We're seeing a superstar, international superstar there.
Oh, that's right. That's added a lot of interest to the Turnbull. Romantic Warrior. He is the Hong Kong champion. He's the highest rated horse racing in Australia today. He's got a rating of 120. He's won 10 out of 14, was second 3 other times. He's an absolutely fantastic horse over 10 furlongs, so he's here for the Cox Plate. I did see James McDonald interviewed a number of times this week, and he kept reiterating that the horse would take improvement out of this race, and he'd take improvement towards the Cox Plate, which I suppose is a little bit of a worry, but by the same token, he probably wouldn't have to be 100% to win, albeit against a good field, but he is a superstar horse.
Well, speaking of Hong Kong, Huey Bowman's back from Hong Kong to ride Espiona. We've also got Zach Purton making the trip down here for his very first Everest. Karen McAvoy has been confirmed to ride Shinzo. Not that Karen's overseas, but how important is it to have these jockeys back here for these big race days in Sydney?
Well, it's very important for these for the individual trainers to know that they've got a jockey who's been there, done that, because the Everest is. You feel the butterflies before the race, not just for the prize money, but the build-up is so huge. So you want these jockeys that have ridden in major races. And if you think about Hugh Bowman, I mean, the pressure that Hugh Bowman must have felt every single time he rode Winx was enormous, and he always came through. Zach Purton's been on the big stage in Hong Kong and other places. Karen McAvoy's already ridden 3 Everest winners and 3 Melbourne Cup winners. So, yeah, you want to make sure that your jockeys got their wits about them going into a $20 million race.
Absolutely. Now, talking about pressure, you came to the party with militarised last week. Well, what about this week?
Okay, but I've got to be careful. My bosses watch this show, so I've got to start getting a few winners up. Look, the $2 million Hill Stakes today, it's a fantastic race. I think Chris Lees has the winner, race 7, number 6, a horse called Protagonist. He won the Sky High Stakes at his first run here in Australia. He was a little bit disappointing after that, but his last 2 runs leading into this, or certainly his last run, was he put the writing on the wall. So, yeah, Protagonist, we need him badly.
Yeah, Ben English, Tim Morrissey, write that down. Write that down.
Good morning. Good morning.
I know they love it. Good to see you, Shane.
Okay, thanks. Have a great day, everyone.
This racing update is brought to you by Bet365, the world's favourite online betting brand.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.